that way those who need it are getting it. Okay, so there's many things in like health sciences that work well, especially for med terms. There's like a lot of cool technology flashcard related games that they can build their flashcards and they can do it. So, but I just decided just try it, not be afraid. I mean, the worst thing that happens in teaching is you try something, it doesn't work, nobody learns, so you go redo it again the next day in a different way. So, as I said, my background was nursing. So, on a my worst day, everybody lives through it in teaching. Whereas, you know, in your worst day in nursing, somebody may not live through it. So I just think, hey, my worst day. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to have to try to reteach it. So, just try to. So that's what. So just don't be afraid to try. Majority of schools do Google and Google Classrooms and Google Suites. So I'm going to kind of focus a little bit more on that. And then I will try, I mean, now we can always post some technology. I'll try to make it like a little sheet, and then send them out or post it on on different resources, technology-wise, like Pear Deck and Flipgrid and some of the things you can use as well. But a lot of schools do use the Google Suites. Many schools, the students have Chromebooks, which definitely work really well with Google and Google Suites. They don't work so well with Office Suites. But Google Suites are very similar to Office. So that may be good. I don't know. So that will hopefully help you out. I'm going to show you I'm just going to walk through how to create a Google Classroom. You guys may already do that, may know it, but just kind of let you know, and some of the things Google Classroom can do. When you go technology and bring all your stuff into Classroom through technology and use a Google Suite or Google Drive or whatever you're going to use, the toughest part is getting it there, and then once it's there, it's very easy to play with. And if you think about it, if you got to make a quiz or a test, you could do it through an exam view or some other thing, or you could do it through Google, Google's Forms, and it grades it for you. It's really easy. So, the biggest thing is up front, putting it all into the computer or getting it in some kind of document that works in the computer. After that, it's pretty easy going. You don't have to worry about going to get copies. You don't have to worry about, you know, all the paperwork. You don't have to worry about grading papers per se. Now, the other good thing about it is if for chance you're working in your school and it happens that maybe there's a day that the internet goes down, nobody can access Google, well, you can still have your paper copies to back up on. So that's actually not too bad. And it does happen that sometimes that the proxy server gets overloaded, or something happens with the network, or school districts get hacked. And so their district, you know, they have to fix that and then they get it back on. So, but it's pretty easy to print or have a paper form as well. So the surprising thing with technology is you'll be surprised at the kids who aren't as comfortable with it. Which we think of them as being in a technology world, but they're really, their technology is not educational tip per se. It's Facebook, Instagram, their phones, Google's, you know, so far as using technology for education, they're not always as comfortable with it, especially if you're looking at different suites like Schoology or Blackboard or some other things that your platform that your school may use. So let me get Ruth in here. All right, so that's kind of something to think about. So you may not be as comfortable, but your students may not either. And I have had students that don't do any of their schoolwork because they don't remember how to get on or their password, and they're afraid to ask. And so they'll fail a class rather than ask. So if you do notice a student not doing work or not getting in, now Google, a lot of times it is whatever it is for the school, but if you're using another platform or something that they have to go into, Edgenuity or something others, if they by chance forget their password, they may not get in for you. So if you're noticing they're not doing work, you might check, because they won't always let you know that either. So let's go, because your time is valuable. Some of you are already back at school and you're spending part of your evening with me. So we are going to try to be quick stuff and just setting up a Google Classroom. Some districts, because of going virtually, are requiring you do some kind of platform for your students and for your parents. Parents can join, that you can invite them, and they can also join the Google Suites or their Google Classroom, so they can actually go in, but their view is a little different and not as friendly, so I wouldn't use it by itself because they can't always see the assignments. They just get a message or a notification that their student is missing an assignment in the Google Classroom or whatever it might be. I use a second thing for my parents, and what I do is I subscribe to S'mores. It's not very expensive, but you might find some other thing you can do. It just is a real easy, and I make a newsletter while we're on virtual, I'll make a weekly newsletter that goes to the parents on this is due this week. This is the big assignments we're getting coming up on. You should be asking about this. And then just some things, some college readiness and things like that I add to it. So you might want to do something on top of Google Classroom. So I'm going to get ready to share my screen. And we'll go look at Google. All right. So that always gets up there. Okay, so get up here. All right. So this is kind of what the Google Classroom, I got to move my Zoom away a little bit so I can get to everything. So Google Classroom, this is like my classrooms, and I haven't really taken off the summer classes I taught or last spring. But this is kind of just your Google thing where you can see your classrooms. You can also go here, and if you assign an assignment on Google Classroom, it will show up on your calendar. So which is always good if you do it a Google assignment. These are also another way just to see your classes that you have on Google Classroom. And then to create a class, now, the other thing with Google is make sure you're in the account you want to be, if it's the school account or your personal account, because it's only going to show what's in that account. So if I was in my personal account, it wouldn't show these classes. So, it's really cool if your school has got Google and all that, because your students, it's really easy for them to join. But when you want to join a class, you do that, and they do a class code, or here is create. And then you just name your class, like first period L Science. And if you have a section number, you can put that there. And I'll put CTE. And then if you have a room number, I'm actually up in the air because I think I'm going to be switched from my campus to online learning, but to teaching online learners. So I won't necessarily have a room number if you're on that. And then you create it. And then here you go. So now your class, that's the easiest way to start it. Now you can go up here and upload a picture. Sometimes what I do is I'll take a picture or two of that actual class and let that be their Google Classroom picture. Let me see if I can find a good one. Like that, we can do, this is when we did area 3. Oh, it's too small. So I will tell you that. And I've used, let's see, pictures. Let me find one that I've used before that I know will be big enough. Scoot down here a little bit. Trying to find a POSA related one, but I may not get it. Oh, there's one. Okay. These are the old POSA posters. And then you size it to where you want it and just select the theme. And then that's your poster background. If you want to use Google Meet, you can actually generate a Meet Meet link that you'll use every single time for this class, so that they can just click on and go to all the time. And then you're actually can go from here. You just start, you put on there, welcome, and you can post. Now, if you have an assignment, it goes under the classwork. You just click over here and you can create, and it will tell you if you want to create a, if you go to create assignment, quiz, question, material, or reuse a post or a topic. And a lot of times I'll do, if I want to get them going in a discussion board, I'll create a question that they have to answer to. If you do the quiz assignment, it's going to take you right to Google Forms to create your quiz. So you may not want to do that if you've already created a quiz, but you can go in here and create an assignment, and you always have to put a title. So you can put midterm review. And then if you go to add, it goes to your drive, or you can do a link or a file or YouTube. And I'll go to Google Drive, and I have some midterm quizzes already. And you just click on it and insert, and now you have a quiz. All right. Now, and you can do grade importing or not. Grade importing is actually, it'll, that quiz I just put on there will actually is created as a quiz, and it will grade it. So if I put grade importing, when they take it, I can import the grades to the Google Classroom and have everybody's grades there where I can see it. Now, the cool thing is, let me move this part. Okay, so you can do a due date and time. Let's say I want to make it for the 18th, and then I can create a topic. I can put medical terms or midterm. If you had a rubric, you can add a rubric. Now this is the really cool thing about this. If I don't have any students, but if I were to click this, I can select certain students to or to not get this quiz, which is really good if you have students that have modified testing and you're going to give them a test B, and nobody knows that they got a different test. So that's really good. So you can select, you can take out, you can like select all students, you can deselect them, or you can deselect all students and then just select just the ones you want. So I always have a test B for my kids who are new to English that usually has less questions, like multiple choice questions to answer or to choose from, maybe a less of a question. Maybe it's only, instead of 50 questions, it's 35 or something like that. So I will do that a lot. So that really helps you with diversifying where you're going and what kids you have. So that's pretty cool. And then all you do is just push assign, and it will assign it. Now, you can also, if you wanted that to go out on a certain time, you can actually set it to go, like if it's a test and you want it to pop up in the Google Classroom on the exact time of your class. You can pop it up the exact time of class. Now, Google Classroom will actually, if you have things that are graded in Google Classroom, you can go to grades and it will show you the grades. We have no students in this one yet, so it won't show us, but it will go that. And then if you want to invite your students, you can invite teachers too, and if you invite a teacher, they have teacher access, teacher roles. But if you want to invite a student, you can invite them email, or you can go up here and you can display this. Oh, I copied it too, and you can make slides where you can just display it on your classroom, and first day of school say, hey, everybody join this Google Classroom. Or if your first day is Zooming, you can put it on your screen, share it like this, and say, okay, everybody needs to join this Google Classroom. This is our classroom for this semester or year. You can do it either way. So that hopefully helps out with Google Classroom. And then I will tell you the Google Forms on your drive, and it pulls from your drive. If you go over here and make a Google, you can do Docs, you can do Google Sheets, which are spreadsheets, Google Slides, and Google Forms. And this, I create a lot of tests from Google Forms right here. The thing about it, if you do a Google form, make sure you start with a name, and it goes to short answer automatically because it's not automatically going to put a name in here. And then if you want to, you can do this where they can get their receipt. You can limit it to their school account. You can limit one response. They only get to take it once. They can edit or not edit. And then you can create this as a quiz, and it can lock their Chromebook so they can't open any other tabs if you really want to. And they can also release their grade either immediately after or later. And they can see their missed questions, their correct answers, or points. A lot of times I'll take the correct answers out because I will allow them to do it more than once. So that's kind of if you want to do a Google form. Once you do your Google form, you can create a Google spreadsheet from the form that will have your answers as well as their grades and their names. You can even put on there that they have to do their student IDs. And sometimes you can take that Google form and import it into your grade book without having to do that. A lot of grade books will let you do that. Now I'm going to stop sharing. Hopefully that helps a little bit. It was kind of sweet and short. I don't mind answering any other questions about technology. I just want to kind of show you a little bit about Google Classroom. A lot of schools do use Google Classroom. So does anybody have any questions? You guys are quiet. I also, a lot of things will work on your Google Classroom. I use quizzes, and I put my quizzes link. I can actually, if I need to, I can show you that. But I can, I'll put my Quizlets link on Classroom. You can also, through quizzes, assign it as a homework assignment to your Google Classroom. And then the kids can do their quiz and it will show them their grades. It'll import their attempts and their grades from their quizzes that they do. So that'll work too. I've used Pear Deck. Pear Deck Factory is pretty cool if you're doing especially flashcards, because they have to work with someone and one is creating the definition, the other one is making the picture, and they're writing it and making it, and then they turn it into the factory, and you as the overseer get to approve or deny it, and they get to go back and forth, and then you can share those and create those into a Quizlet from your Pear Deck Factory. So that's pretty cool on Pear Deck Factory. Pear Deck Factory, though, I think you get like 1 or 2 free tries, but some school districts do pay for Pear Deck and Pear Deck Factory. So you want to check with your district to see if it's something that you're able to have a subscription already with. And there's a lot of things that your district will probably may have access to that you just need to find out, or they may let you know. Ours that we have Flipgrid, we have Pear Deck, we have I said Flipgrid, sorry about that. We have all the Google Suites. And so kind of depends on what you want to do for that as well. And then of course, Google Meet and Zoom is something that you'll be using. And of course, we learned tonight that it can be hacked. So be careful, and just if it is, just go out and go back in. Now, the best thing, you can require your students to show their face if you're doing Zoom, so you can actually see that it's actually them. And you can also require them to use a password to get on. So that's a couple ways to be secure. But there are, as we were talking before, a couple guys that were on, we're talking about how people will send out your Zoom link to random people. And that could have been what happened tonight, I don't know. And then the random people get on and run your Zoom. So you may have to worry about that. Now, if it's district-wide and you're on your district, you might be able to use your IT people to track down what happened with that, and you may get some luck with that. But those are several ways that kind of you can do password protected. Now, you can pretty much password protect a lot of things. When you're setting up a Google test on Google Forms, you can require a password for them to enter your tests. And then you share your password with and make it individual for each class. Some people do that. I a lot of times will go ahead and have it open right as their 5 minutes after their class starts. So they can't see it in advance, because you do have the students who will get online and do whatever you have online for an assignment prior to class. So Google Classroom is really great because you can share videos, you can share articles, you can have discussion boards, you can do your quizzes and tests. You can do, I've even used Google Forms sometimes just for just a bell ringer opener, just to get started or to review from yesterday. So I've done that as well. So hopefully, I mean, the biggest thing with technology, as I said, get started, go in and just try it and see how it goes. The worst thing that's going to happen is you got to find a different way to teach tomorrow, and you just got to go reteach it. And that's really not a huge thing. I mean, it's not huge per se. Yeah, it's inconvenient, but you might find that you have a lot of kids that do really well with it. And as you do technology, you're going to have to teach your kids technology. The dual credit class I teach, it has a Blackboard platform, and they have to learn to get on there and save their passwords and all that good stuff. It's some curriculum that is out there is going to be online curriculum that you're going to pretty much use, and then you're going to be the facilitator. So, okay, I hope that was good. It was short. I said it was short and sweet. The other thing is I was going to talk about just when you get to set up your classroom, when your kids are back in your classroom, you can pretty much just kind of design how you want the flow of the class by your desk and how you set them. If you are going to do groups, you can group your desks together. If you want to do individually, you can do them in pair or in rows. But you, as a teacher, get to kind of, unless you're floating around, get to pick on how you want your arrangement in class assigned and arranged. Think about it. Think about how you want it. I do a lot of groups. I also walk around my room a lot, so I make sure there's room for me to walk around, especially if there's a group that's not particularly doing what they need to do. I go walk behind them and talk to them and all that, and tap them and kind of be very mobile. So hopefully your class, but you can think about how you want to arrange your class as well. This is just, I know this is going to be a different way to start school for a lot of us, because we're going to be back on virtual learning again, and we're really ready to start our classrooms. For your kids that are special needs or new to English, there is some things that you want to think about, especially if they're online and technology. It's going to be a little harder for you to see how well they're doing. Some kids are, especially if they're learning English, are using what you're saying and your body language and how you respond to learn what their English. So by using just a computer or a Zoom that they may or may not have come to, you may lose some of them, and they may lose some translation, or especially if there's writing involved. So I would really kind of watch and maybe make it a point. They're supposed to be required to be on this fall, but it doesn't mean that they will be on this fall. So, and said if you can see their face with you, it kind of helps you make sure that it is, that you can see those stares or the yay, I'm getting it, the no, because kids won't necessarily tell you in front of their other peers that they're getting it. So I would definitely use, if you're doing Zoom, I would probably maybe even do private Zooms, tutorial Zooms, but I would try to get some of those kids on, and you'll see it with their work as they're not doing as well. So you may want to definitely get in with them and say, hey, we need to set up a personal time for you and me to meet on Zoom, to make sure you're with us and get your questions answered. The other thing is kind of hard is high school students, especially if they have a 504 or IEP, and a lot of times they're trying to make them more independent. So they're giving a lot of their 504s and IEPs as a option, kind of in a way that they can ask. If requested, students can have their test read. If requested, students can have extra time. you may have to step in and because kids don't like to request it, they don't like to advocate for themselves, so you may have to strongly encourage them to do that, or to get with them personally away from their friends to say, hey, I really think you should have this test read to you. I really think you should take the extra time that you get to finish this test and take off the time restraints on them. So some of those are going to be, especially with the especially with students. Oh, I ended the last meeting and canceled it, and then I generated, it's the same meeting link. Somebody was asking when I hacked, what did I do? Because you get a personal meeting link to Zoom. So what I did was I went in and canceled that meeting totally, rescheduled it with a password. And that's how I did it tonight. And then I, instead of sharing it with everybody that was on, I just went on to the health science teachers Facebook and said, here's the new link. So you may do that. You may find it, and I think Zoom is really the one that's having problems with getting hacked and getting inappropriate messages and people acting vulgar and inappropriately on. So you may find that you just want to do Google Hangout or Google Meet, because I don't think they're having as much problems. But I just went ahead and canceled that meeting altogether and started a new one. So that's what I did. Hopefully that, perfect. But I think, I know like the El Centro where I teach the dual credit, they will not even let us use Zoom. We have to use Google Meet or Google Hangout, or we have to use their Blackboard Collaborate, which is like a Zoom, but it's through Blackboard. And then with that, only the kids enrolled in that class get access. So that is okay if you're going to do it every class, which looks like that's what TA is going to have us do for if you do at-home learning, or for our time that if you're going ahead, if you're not delaying your start and you're starting with at-home learning, remote learning, the kids are actually going to have to follow a schedule, which they didn't have to in the spring, and they're going to have to get on their times in their class. So if you had something like that, there was individual meeting or for class, then it would be very easy to do. Now in the spring, I just had a general meeting for everybody during my tutoring time. So all 7 of my classes could get on. Some people may do individual classes. And in the fall, that's what TA is expecting us to do, is do individual classes and the students to be on during their class time. So they're not going to be able just to do their work whenever they want. Okay, questions. Anybody else have a question? Any other, hopefully, any technology fears? Maybe I can help with that. I know a lot of people are afraid to try. A lot, it said, just try. Now we're kind of forced to, but just especially if you have a really good class that you want to do a little bit more with technology, try with that class. Any other questions? Is there anything you guys want me to address the next time we get together? Any topics of interest? Resources, all right. Resources for technology, or you mean, because we can definitely go in and do some I can get some pear decks and some quizzes, Quizalize, all these things, Flipgrid, and we can show various examples of them. But I'll also put them, I'll create a spreadsheet too. And then I'll do some health science related stuff too. Because I think that's pretty much what we have. So yes, I will definitely get those resources for us. And I'll share I'll get them together and then we can do that. And then definitely we'll have more questions. The other things I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to do it as it's happening in our schools. For example, when it's about time to post grades, how to do a progress report, how to post grades, how to talk to parents, how to do, setting up open houses, which I'm not sure how open houses are going to look, but there's probably going to be some kind of way that you're going to get to meet. There's going to be a meet the teacher night or something, because I know the state in the past has required you to do one in the fall and one in the spring. So every school has always done it, but we'll see if they lighten those loads up with our COVID or not. But I'll teach that. Let me get with some interactive notebooks. I played with interactive notebooks on just on actual notebooks, but I know I just was looking even at, there's some online interactive notebooks. I'll play around with that and get that for you as well. And then the new thing that I didn't show it tonight because I'm still trying to build it, is the interactive classroom, virtual classroom. So that'll help with that too. And then online skills. I teach, actually I taught, last year I taught the freshman level class, which is, we taught health and wellness, and it was an intro to healthcare careers. And then I ended up teaching the sophomore class, which is actually basic nursing skills. So how we did, I did a lot of YouTube videos and how to YouTube videos. Because we went out of school at the time that they were supposed to be checking off on skills. So I was trying to show them, because a lot of your kids are going to be visual and want to see. They do better if they can see it. So using YouTube was really helpful for me. And then it was funny because they were supposed to do a physical assessment and none of them were getting it done, and it was 2 weeks, getting into being 2 weeks late. So I ended up just going in and doing, this is how your assessment should look. And I walked them through it step by step and why the steps were important, and videotape myself doing that and doing an assessment on my daughter. And then all of them were putting in their assessment. So sometimes they need a visual. So don't be afraid to create a YouTube video too. But I will get you guys some interactive notebooks, online skills, all that kind of stuff. I have used AES Learning. Some of your schools may, especially because that's all online, may go to AES Learning. So the thing with AES Learning, you can do it all through AES Learning, or you can do kind of use some resources. I found with the kids, if you, I had to chunk it up and do a little bit of AES Learning and then some other stuff, because they get really bored with that format of how online that is, and how it's just they're going through PowerPoints and then they can do a quiz and all that. So you kind of have to chunk it up a little bit for them because they want to be a little more interactive than AES Learning, but that's one I've used. We've also used, we did use Paxton Patterson. Paxton Patterson is more, it's more geared for doing some online and then doing hands-on labs. And so the problem with that is you have a hard time doing hands-on labs if they're not in class. So if you're doing Paxton Patterson, we've used, trying to think of others, but I'll get a list. I've used other various little things. I've done s'mores, and you can do s'more classroom where they have to build a s'more based on a topic. I've done Flipgrids. I've done Nearpods. Nearpods are really cool to bringing your PowerPoints to being more interactive, because they'll do the PowerPoint and then you can put a quiz or a diagram they have to draw or something they have to do, and then you can go to the next group of PowerPoint slides with your next information. So, and so I can get some of that for you guys as well. Be glad to. And then what I'll do is I will try to create a maybe just a Google form or a form that has the hyperlink, so you can go click into them and see how it is. Many of them you have to sign up for, but they don't necessarily cost. You just have to sign up, and I usually use my school account. And then again, once again, go into your districts and see what do they offer that's already paid for, what subscriptions are already paid for, what are they using? Because there'll be, especially now, there's going to be a lot more online resources for you. We are starting to use Ed Dynamics for our medical term, and we have an 8th grade health science class, and so it's a very interactive online, all online curriculum. So, and the teacher more or less can facilitate it. But I'm gonna try to did some little things in between that they can do above and beyond. So they're not just doing the online stuff. So, but that's another different program that they can use. We did use IEC or ICP or ICE or whatever it is, but not very much because we had just gone to dual credit. So it didn't, they had a subscription for us, but we didn't really use it. So I don't know a lot about that program. It does have health science theory, and principles of health science related materials that follow the Texas TEKS. So if you have, I think it's ICE is what it is. So you can use that too. A lot of that online curriculum, you're probably going to want to add a little bit more here and there too. So, but I will share and share and share because I am the sharing queen. And there's no reason why we all should be left in the dark. So, all right. Any other questions? All right. Perfect. Okay. So if you know what we want to do next, we'll probably have already either be in training or have be starting our classes. If there's something I can help you out with that, let me know. And I will, if you have particular topics you want me to cover, I will make that the next one. I don't mind doing every 2 weeks, or we can do a weekly meeting until school's really going good, just to make sure you're good and ready to go. So that we can do as well. But just let me know. If you guys want to do another one next week, that's fine. We will do it weekly. Perfect. Okay, so next week, do you want to keep it about the same time? Does that work? Wednesday evenings? Because I don't mind weekends, except I will be moving my son to college the next 2 weekends. But all right. So I don't mind once he's off to college, because I have to move him. He's going 6 hours away. And they're making us do 2 different move-in dates. We have to move his stuff up, and then we move him up a week later. After that, we can do weekends. But I will set it for Wednesday nights at 8, and then we'll set up the Zoom, and we'll just make it password protected. And if we have to, we'll go to Google Meet or Hangout if it doesn't work. But hopefully, we won't be hacked again. And I also have a couple administrators and some other people that can maybe come and help you guys out with some talks that will help you out with that as well. So that won't be a problem either. So, all right, I won't keep you very much longer. Thank you guys for being so adaptive and helping out here as we got hacked. I will see you guys next week. I'm going to